And that's the piece we want right there. Yeah, I don't like to quit and go do mess like that until I've done a certain amount of work. After I've done a certain amount of work, I don't mind taking a little break. If I ain't doing no work, I can't take no break. That piece is hot. So we got off a little bit on something. Here. There. Need to trim that. We don't want to push on it too much till we get some better welds on it. So this one here, don't need much on it. It needs about 2 inches on it, all the way down. I don't think we got a piece 2 inches. I want to do it, really I want to do it out of one piece. Find me another piece of scrap somewhere. Still here. We end up cutting it on. Where am I going to cut it out? cut it there. Now, this will be the last little piece I'm gonna cut. Then I'm gonna run to town and get my bottle filled up while I can weld it. All right, folks. That's gonna be it for now. I got to go fill my bottle up because I can't really weld anything. All I was doing just trying to hold it up there, you know, and when I got up there, I'll go back and re-weld over it. But that's just a popcorn mess there. Oh, yeah. I just got this bottle refilled not too long ago, but maybe the regulator's got a leak or something I didn't know about, or something's going on because I ain't used it that much for it to be empty. But the gauge on this thing don't work either, so I don't know how much was in the bottle. My little gauge is tore up. They could have gave me a bottle that weren't all the way full. I wouldn't have known any difference. See? Empty. Empty, empty. All right. So we just went to town and got my other bottle filled up with some argon, so we should be able to weld it up good this time. So we come outside a while ago, and there was a fella from Raleigh that was back here at a field that we irrigate some wastewater on back here. Had snuck up here on us and sent me a message for me to call him. Said he had a complaint about an odor complaint from one of the neighbors around here. They don't tell you who the complainer neighbor is, but I mean it's obvious, you know, it's certain ones right here close to you. So I don't smell anything around here. We don't spray anything out. It ain't legal to be spraying out around here. So if you smell something and you living right on top of you know a field that was an irrigation field before you moved there and you still moved there on top of it, don't be complaining when you smell something. You knew what was going on before you ever moved your house here or before you ever parked right up beside of where I've got my field at. You had every opportunity to move on down the road a half a mile, either direction or whatever. So if you got complaints, that's your freaking problem. All right, so now that we got it argoned up, clean all that crud out of there that was getting in there from us not having any argon. Make sure that gas can flow like it's supposed to. Yeah, I don't understand why, you know, if somebody was to move up the side of a field that they know is a irrigation field, why would you go move your house there and then start complaining, making complaints? You know, that's stupid. That you would move, somebody would come and move somewhere that you know that that's like a thing. If you got a hog plant that they sell, you know, they process hogs and the plant's been there for 20 years and you buy a piece of land upside of them because you got a deal on it, and then you build your house there, and then you start calling around making complaints because you smell hog shit. You knew what was there when you bought the land to start with. That's probably why you got it cheap. So if you're going to do that, go ahead and make up your mind that you're going to have to deal with certain kind of stuff. Don't make a decision and then come there and get there and like you trying to take over and change rules, everything that's been going on for the past 10, 15 years. If you want to move somewhere like that because you're getting something cheap, be my guest. Go ahead and move there. But get used to your smells before you move there. Because 9 times out of 10, you ain't going to change nothing. You're just going to sit back there and cause yourself problems. If I was a butthole, I would make sure it started to smell strongly. But I'm not that kind of fella, so it still aggravates me that somebody would, do stuff like that. That's probably where it come from. When I put that video on there, we spraying that mess out there on that YouTube, it's had like 75 views, and then probably one of these idiots around here saw it. Oh, they spraying that mess out in the field. I smell something. Let's call the man. Y'all a bunch of dumbasses. That's what you is. You a bunch of dummies. I've been spraying stuff around here for 10 years. You just smelled something last week. When you seen a video, all of a sudden you smell something. Stupid idiots. That just shows you how people try to cause you trouble if they can. If anybody in the world can cause you a little bit of trouble, they ain't got shit to do, nothing, mind their own business, whatever they got going on in their house. They rather take what they doing, stop, completely time out of their day and do something that'll cause a neighbor down the road or somebody else some trouble. But hey, you ain't gonna cause me no trouble because I don't give a shit anyway. So worst thing you can do is cause more problem for yourself. All right, so what we got over here is we got everything stitched up like we want it. We got the corners stitched back about 1 inch all the way down. So when I go back and grind this off, I'll have me something I can make me a radius with. And then we're gonna come back and we're gonna trim that excess off there. While I'm waiting on that to cool, I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna weld what I got over here. So I was gonna drink that one bottle of water. I think that's it. Yeah. So I'll come back over here. Yep. I got all my little stuff here. I'll gap that up. I'm gonna come back and grind that little raggedy weld off there where we didn't have no argon. I'm gonna cut it back out. The only reason I did that was so we could keep moving forward, cutting the plates out. Wouldn't have to stop, even though we didn't have a good way to weld it. I'm gonna go ahead and get us a couple good little tacks on it, and then I'll come out and grind that mess off. We've come back and fine tune it. We'll come back and make little adjustments as we need. What we're going to do is tap these back around. That one there is in. We got one in and one out. And I think what I'm gonna do is heat it up and try to beat it out a little bit anyway once I get it welded. Hey, pretty hard I'm putting that hood there. All right, so what we're going to do now is go back and stitch up about an inch from the corners back in. All right, let's take a look and see what we got here. So what we've done here is we've extended this fender lip down. We've just took random pieces of metal and came here and just cut and fit and seamed it on here. So we're gonna let it cool. We ain't gonna mess with it right now. I'm gonna let it cool off. just naturally just cool off. I ain't gonna put no water on it up, and I'm just let it cool off. And then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna grind some of this on the top here. I'm gonna try to get me a kind of a smooth radius where I want it. And then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna make me a mark where I want this overhang to be at, and then I'm gonna come back and cut it out on both sides. Uh, so yeah, that's what we're gonna do. And I may even come back and add a little on here, make it a little bit wider than what I originally planned, because 3 inches is what I said, but I think it may look better if it's a little more than 3. So I think we will come back and add a little scab piece on there and make it just a little bit more than 3. In fact, we can take that piece right there, almost, and go ahead and scab something on it. On it. We'll take the tape measure. I got plenty over here. I can go whatever I want over there. And I can go at least 4 over here if I want it to go 4 with a 4-inch lip. So what I'll do is I'll draw me a line on there for 3, and then I'll draw me a line on there for 4, and whichever one I like, that's what I'll do. Whichever one I feel like looks the best to me. And if you were cutting it, then you could cut it whatever looked best to you. So whichever who's cutting, that's who gets to choose what the cut is. This time, it's Mike Carter. I'm doing the cutting. Hoo-wee! All right, so what we was able to get done here this morning or this evening is we got the fenders tightened up, welded a little bit more on the sides and on the corners all the way across. We got some stitch weld done. We was able to cut some little scab pieces to be able to bring this fairing down on the side of the hood the way I want it. So I feel pretty good with that. We got both sides done. We ran out of acetylene, argon and carbon dioxide bottle ran out, so I had to cut it short, and I had to end up going to town and getting another bottle of argon so I could finish welding this mess up. But that's pretty basic. What we got done today was just some stitch welding and adding some plates on to the side fairings, and we're gonna let it cool off, just naturally cool. We got something else I got to go do on one of my trucks over here, so we're gonna put this off to another day. We'll come back, and when I come back, what I'll probably do is take the grinder and grind some of the weld off of the top fender here where it rolls around. I'll kind of get me a little radius going the way I want it, and then I'll come back and I'll make me 2 lines. I'll make me one like 4 inches, and then I'll make me one maybe 3 inches, and whichever one I like the best, that's what I'll go with. And I'll come back here and I'll cut it off, and then we'll shape it up with the sanding wheel, and we'll end up having to do some more welding. I'm gonna fill all these little grooves in that I cut out with the Metabo or the cutout wheel, to get this 11 gauge metal to bend around. So instead of just tacking it here and there and going back and put body filler in it, which would probably hold for, ever, but it's a good chance that the body filler could crack in there over time when that thing sits out in the sun and that metal gets hot. And there's too many of them in there. If it was one or two, it'd be different. But there's there's probably 100 cuts on each fender. So that's too many cuts and too many maybes for the body filler. And when I do it, I don't want to go back and do it again. So I'm just going to take the time and weld it up a little bit at the time, come out and grind it down, most of it, and then I'll come back over it with the body filler and shape it up the way I want it. So I don't want a bunch of grooves in there, and I don't want my metal so thin that it's, it's paper thin up in there. And I had to cut that metal down. I didn't gauge it or nothing, but I had to cut it down, pretty thin to get it to, move the way you want to. So it was over 3/4 of the way you cut down 11 gauge. So whatever that is, half 11 gauge should be 22, but I ain't no metal man as far as, all the different types of metal and all the gauges and the thicknesses and how much it jumps in between metal. But I would say it's cut down, pretty thin, 26 gauge maybe. So I'm gonna just go back and fill it back up, grind it, and it'll take a little bit of time to do it, but it'll be worth it in the end. And we're getting a little bit closer to being able to make some more adjustments and see what we're gonna go. We're gonna put a so that's what we're looking like. We're gonna call this a day on this here, and we're gonna go work on my truck for a little bit, and we'll catch you next time.